Hello everyone, today I'll be taking you through the process of how I draft my mermaid skirt. I'll be using like small measurements to demonstrate what I am trying to do, because if I use an adult measurement, the paper would be so big that I'll have to be moving it here and there, which is something I'm trying to avoid. I want you to be able to see everything I am doing at in one glance. So I'm going to use like tiny bits of measurement, but yes, it will help you to understand what I am basically trying to do. So the first thing I'll do is to make my border line. I used about 1 inch for that. And I'll take my measurements from there. The line is going to serve as my waistline. Then from the waistline, I will mark my hip length and I'll make an horizontal line. So I'll label that as my hip line. Next thing I'll mark is my waist to nail measurement. I'll label that as knee line rather. Then from my waistline, you'll measure the length of your skirt or dress as the case may be. For this, I will use 14 inches. Then I'll label that as my skirt length. Next thing you do is, when you're making a mermaid skirt for an adult, you go upward from your knee line about 4 inches or 5 inches. I like to use 4 inches most times, but you can use as high as 5 inches. So I'm assuming this is my 4 inches. I'll mark that and make an horizontal line. The reason I like to go up 4 inches to 5 inches is so that there is freedom around your knee, basically. What we're going to do now is to insert our circumference measurement. So on my waistline, you insert your waist circumference divided by 4. On the hip line, you do the same, your hip divided by 4. And on this line, not your knee line, take note of that. On this line that is 4 inches or 5 inches above your knee line, you go in with your hip measurement divided by 4 minus 1. So whatever you have here, you subtract 1 from that figure and put that in here. Whatever this gives you, you impute that same measurement on the end of your skirt. So this and this looks like a straight line. So what I'll do now is to connect all these points together. Then after doing this, I'm going to insert my sewing allowance of 1 inch. Then I'll blend in this pointed corner. Mind you, this is the front, so you can write front panel. I'm going to cut the skirt out. So now this is what our skirt looks like. What you're going to do now is to find the midpoint of this place. Mind you, we're not using our knee line anymore. So this is the line that we're going to be focusing on. So you are going to divide, you are going to find the midpoint of this line. For me, here is the midpoint, and you mark this same point here. Then you square up the line. Then from here, we're going to cut like this and like this. You're not going to cut through. You leave like tiny piece that will hold both the top and the down together. Then slash this line open. Not your center front, please. You're not going to slash your center front open. You're only going to slash in the sides. Then leave a tiny piece that will hold the paper together. Then what we need right now is a fresh pattern paper that I'm going to place under this. This is my fresh pattern paper. I'm going to pin down with. So when you get to this part, you are going to decide how wide you want your skirt to be. That will determine how much of this you are going to spread. If you're spreading this for normal asho, or should be like your normal Ankara lace dress that you don't want to be too elaborate, you can go say 5 inches to 7 inches and you will be okay. But if you're making like a wedding dress, you can spread your pattern as much as 10 inches, 15 inches. That would make it very wide. Depending on how full you want it to be, you can go. But for me, ideally, I use about 10 inches to 15 inches. But I'm assuming this is my 10 inches, for example. Like I said, if it's a bridal dress, depending on how big you want it to be, the minimum is like 10 inches for relatively, for those conservative mermaid dresses, not too big, not too small, about 10 inches. But if you want it to be very big, 15 inches, 20 inches, you can go as much as you want to. But you also have to be careful so you don't have, the more you go, the more there will be need for you to blend this place in very well, so you don't have hair too sharp. You get it? So assume this is my 10 inches. See what I'm doing. This is how this paper is. I did something like this, and I'm fine with my spread. Then I'll pin that down. By the time you spread this side, you notice that this place now looks a little longer than here. So we'll try to blend that in. So we're going to do something like this. So there might be a little extension. When you're doing the big size version, it might not be this much. But whatever the case is, just try to blend it in. If this ends up longer than this place, just try to blend that in. It will just add a little bit of extension to your skirting. And because we're making a mermaid dress, it would be fine. So we'll go ahead to cut this out now. Please, if you have any sharp corner here, blend it in before you cut it open. So this is what the front looks like. For the back, we're going to mark the border line. I'll make an horizontal measurement. So this is going to be our waistline. From the waistline, I'll mark my waist to hip measurement, my waist to knee, and then waist to the skirt length or dress length, as the case may be. So this is my hip measurement. This is my hip line. This is the knee line, and this is the skirt length. Then what I want to do is to mark my zipper allowance. Whatever your zipper allowance I use, please feel free to mark. I use 1 inch for almost all my outfits. So this is my zipper allowance. Then like we did for the front, you are going to come up from your knee line by 4 to 5 inches. So I'm assuming this is my 4 to 5 inches, and I'll make an horizontal line. There's one more line we're going to add to the back. That's the underbutt line, and this allows us to be able to tighten the back a little so that the fit around the butt area looks nicer. So what you do is, for most people, just come down by 6 inches from your hip measurement. If you can measure your client, that is fine. But if not, just mark downwards 6 inches from your hip line. It works for most people. So you mark down 6 inches. I'm assuming that this is my own 6 inches. Then you make an horizontal line. I will label that as underbutt. Then we'll now go ahead to impute our measurement. So the waist divided by 4, the hip divided by 4, the hip divided by 4 minus 1, we'll put on this unlabeled line. Then we'll repeat this measurement on the skirt length. Then we'll connect all these points together. Then I also add my sewing allowances. Then I'll blend in this curved area. Then what we're going to do is, on the hip line, you come down by 1 inch. Please pay attention to what I'm saying and not the value you are seeing on my tape measure. Like I said, this is not a standard adult sized pattern, and that is why you'll be seeing me mark different things on my tape rule. But pay attention to what I say more. On your hip line, come down by 1 inch. On your underbutt line, you are going to go in by 1 inch. So I'm assuming that this is my 1 inch. Then we're going to connect it this way. See where my armhole curve is facing. You can either use this curve or this curve, whichever one you have. Then you do this. By so doing, you have tightened your underboard, so there are no excess fabrics around here. The dress will look very snatched on you. You remember that our curve was facing this place when we were doing this. Then you turn it upside down and place it on your knee measurement like this. So around your knee line, you face it. Then you turn this upside down, place it on your knee line, and connect this back to this 1 inch mark. This way, you are going to cut away all of this. Then on your waistline, we're going to try to eliminate the possibilities of zip bulging. So you're going to go in by 1 inch on your waistline as well. Then on your hip line, you go up by 2 inches. The reason why I went down 1 inch from here and 2 inches here is so that I don't touch my hip measurement at all, so I don't end up having shortage when I'm done sewing. Then on your 2 inches mark here, notice I'm going to connect from my zip allowance as well. So you connect this way. So you have something like this. This way you've been able to eliminate zipper bulge and also have a nice shape around your butt area. Then if there are any sharp corners, you can just blend that out. Before I cut out, like we did earlier, we're going to find the midpoint of this place, this point to this point. You mark that as well here. This line must start from this unlabeled line up to the end of your skirt. Now we're going to cut our pattern out. You might notice some sharp corners around here. Just go in and blend it in a little. Next thing we'll do is to cut this place open like we did for the front and add extra paper. So I've gone ahead to add extra paper to this pattern, and like we did for the front, I'm going to blend in this line because this is now longer than this part of the pattern. Please ensure that when you are spreading this part, you should spread it by the same amount you spread the front. I'm going to do the same thing I did for the front. Then we can cut that out. If this corner looks too sharp for you, just blend it in a little. Then we're now going to add the mermaid to the back of the skirt. When you want to add paper, extra paper for the back of your skirt, this is the trick you are going to use. From this line that is above the knee line, this line above the knee line, that's where you are going to measure from. So for me, I have 6.5. So whatever you get, you are going to add at least 10 inches to it, depending on how full you want the skirt to be. You can go as much as 15, 20, 25, even 30 inches if you want a very voluminous skirt. But the minimum you can go is 10 inches. So you measure from this line above your knee line. You're going to measure whatever it is, add at least 10 inches to it. That is going to be the amount of paper you're going to extend your skirt with at the back. I'm assuming that this is the amount of paper I need to cover up for all these measurements. So from this distance to this place plus 10 inches, this is the paper I need. So this is what you are going to do. You are going to extend this line that is above your knee line. You are going to extend it this way. After you have extended this, there are two ways of doing this. After you have marked the distance between this place and this place plus at least 10 inches, you are going to mark whatever the figure is for you. You mark it here. So I'm assuming that this is the point that we marked. Then on your skirt length, you come down by about at least 2 inches. You mark that. Then so that you can eliminate the sharp corner, you can do something like this. Then you can cut that out. You see, and that will give you the shape that you are looking for. Or you can also do something like this. So this is mine. Whatever it is, for me this is 7.5. You can continue to mark your 7.5 this way. Ensure that your tape rule stays in place. You can measure 7.5. 7.5. Can you see? They connect all of the points together. So the first steps gives you like more fabric, makes your skirt fuller. But this just ensures that you have like a rounder shape. You get it like a semicircle. While this one looks this way, just that this one adds more volume. The first step adds more volume to your skirt. So whichever way you prefer is totally fine. Then cut this place out like this. You see? So you have something like this. I think I usually prefer this because it makes the skirt fuller. But if you want like a more symmetric look feel, you can use this step. Then when you're done, you connect this back to your skirt. Or if you're using the first method. If it's your ruler, just do something like this. So the first step practically just give you like more fullness. That is why I like to use it. Then we can cut this off. So this is what our skirt looks like. Can you see it? So I think I prefer the first method because it gives more fullness. If I cut from here, it reduces the volume of the skirt, but depending on the look you are going for. If you've come this far with me on this video, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. Please do well to subscribe, like, drop your questions and comments in the chat box, and see you all in my next video. Bye bye.